All right, Tesla update here on the 19th. I'll go over SPY as well. So I'm pretty bullish here overall. I went down to the 1 minute. Let's just go over what I see. We have the levels as well. So you have this move up. To me, this looks like a WXY move. You have ABC, X, ABC, A. Get 5 waves down here. Whoops. B wave up. Move down here, hits the 1.61 fib. So to me, that's A, B, and it took a week for that to finish. So I would expect 3 days up for the C wave, which takes us to Friday. And then right here, it looks to me like you have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Potentially, you're finishing off a third wave here. Maybe into Powell. And then maybe a little bit sideways. And then my target, based on where these ended, would be 258. You can see here, I got the parallel line up here. And there's a gap up there at 258. So if this plays out how it's drawn up, 258 is the target. So that's about a 10% move. And the only thing is, we look at SPY here. We do have a gap at 252. So it could come down, but maybe we get this gap fill later. So I'm kind of looking at it like either 1, 2, or ABC, or it could be a third wave as well. The 1.61 fib of this is at 582. If we hit the 1.61 fib, that's about a 3% move. I would expect Tesla to hit about 10% higher. And that would be right around the 20 DMA as well. And the 20 DMA, we are so far off of it, it's not very normal. And so this makes a lot of sense to come up here. Maybe higher, maybe a 275 too. But 258 would probably be my target. And the other way this could work out is we could also go like this. This is where the 1.61 fib is at 552. If that happens, then obviously this is going to fail. But from just looking at Tesla, it looks bullish to me. The only way this could be something else is if it ends up being like a diagonal down or something like that. But right now, based on what I see, it looks pretty bullish. Let's look at options though. And options have been pretty bullish as well. You look at this, except for these puts right here, everything else has been bullish. They're buying lots of calls. They've been selling some puts, but then they bought a few puts right here. On SPY, they're selling puts and selling calls as well, but not really anything bearish there. So let's take a look at SPY on lower time frames. See, the one thing though that makes me think down makes more sense is this. 5 waves down. And you're getting this chop up here. This makes the most sense when I'm looking at SPY, but on Tesla, it does not make as much sense. So just know the levels and have a game plan. If we come down here, there's a gap at 572 and a gap at 581. And so even if we come down here, I think we're going to go to a minimum of 572. If we're right here and this is the bottom, then I think we can go to 582 pretty easily. So SPY kind of in no man's land right now. You're either going to see 572 or 552 next. I would lean towards 552. So if Tesla comes down, you have support here at 220 and also at 200 and 206. Let's see, Meta. Meta also looks like it should come down. kind of mixed here. Yesterday was pretty bearish though. So this does look like it should come down here for one more low, maybe down to 555. So watch out for that as well. I'm just ready to get this Fed meeting out of the way so we can get a direction. This chop and then going back and forth is kind of annoying. Once we get a direction, then it's gonna be easy to figure out like where these stocks are going. NVIDIA, I think this also needs a pullback to 110. So literally everything is saying pullback, except for Tesla, it looks to me like it should be going higher. If you look at SoFi, it's the same thing. Although it might have done a diagonal here. I'm looking into that potentially. But it never really pulled back enough. So we'll see on this one. I'll do an update later on that after the Fed meeting. HIMS, there's a gap at 28. There's a demand zone at 28. It's probably going to hit that within the next couple of days. But it could come up here for a C wave. It kind of just looks like this is probably going to end up being, I don't know. This is taking too long though. We had 5 waves down, 6 days, 6 days up, and now we're sitting here on 16 days. It actually makes more sense to come up here and then come down. But we'll find out. HIMS, I'll be pretty bullish on. If it comes down here in this area, I'll be buying some down here for sure. And what else do we got here? Apple, they were pretty bearish on Apple. And I'm pretty bearish on Apple. So everything is bearish actually, except for Tesla, which is kind of odd. So we'll see what happens here. Just be careful, but if it does come down here, you can buy calls in this area. If it goes up here, sell some covered calls or sell whatever calls you have. You bought them down here. Apple's probably going to come down here to the 100 on the weekly, which is at 200. Rivian did a video yesterday on this. If we do drop, this can still come down. There's still some room down here to 1030. If I zoom out here. So there's the parallel line. There's still a little bit of room to come down. And then I think it sees 14 or 15 bucks. AMD, probably just going to follow NVIDIA. If it comes higher, you have a gap here at, you don't have a gap, you have a demand zone at 110. And that would be, I think that honestly this is probably going to come down here and fill these gaps as well, 98 and 101 first. But I do think that it's going to come up here to at least 110 afterwards. Maybe higher if it's already bottomed. Anyway, those are my thoughts on some of the stocks. We'll see what happens after the Fed meeting. I'm curious which direction this goes. I would lean down, but again, it's just going to come down to whatever the Fed says, and then we'll finally have a direction. Maybe the market can move one direction, and I'll be able to tell you what is more likely for all these stocks. That's it for this video. I'll talk to you in a few hours.